Hello, hello. Welcome to Keep Calm for Moms, where we talk about what it means to parent the next generation with grace and ease. I am Dr. Pamela Ellis, the education doctor, and I am thrilled to see you here today. If you're joining me for the first time, I want to share a little bit about who I am and what my firm does, and share a little bit about what we'll be talking about today as well. We all know that when it comes to parents and teens, oh my goodness, we have so much on our plate in that regards. And what my firm does, Compass College Advisory, is we partner with busy moms to help their teen with finding a college that feels like home without overpaying, because no one wants to overpay. So there are five pillars of Keep Calm, which is academic, social, financial, vocational, and cultural. And each week we touch on those different points in some way. And we believe that what holds those five pillars together is parent engagement. And this series that I'm going to share with you today is from my Boss Mom series. And I will be bringing on an amazing guest who's going to talk about something that we hear so much about, but don't really have a chance to talk with someone about it. And so I am bringing on today my guest, Naila Iscandari, who's going to talk with us about work-life balance, her career journey, and the other hot topic is D1 athletics. So I know you were excited, Naila. Can you hear
Extremely.
me? Okay, then there you
Yeah.
go. So Naila, come on, tell us, introduce who you are and who you are as a mom.
Okay. My name is Naila Iskandari. I did play at basketball in college, which was quite a while ago. I
Mhm,
graduated 20 years ago. Just celebrated my 20th class reunion, I would say.
mhm,
Currently, I'm in tech. I'm
mhm,
a technical support engineer. I majored in
mhm,
sociology in college. I have
hmm,
one child, a son who is 16 years old, currently a
mm.
sophomore. And yeah, I can go on and on, but I'm sure we'll get into that.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. Now, the thing about it is, did you always plan to do basketball in college?
Yes. I was I always liked the game of basketball, even
Mm-hmm.
as an elementary student. So played during recess. And then I would say I was really introduced to the organized side of the game by my neighbors, a family who lived down the street from
Mm-hmm.
me. The dad was a referee, and both his girls played. And I would say I was about 12 years old when I first
Mm-hmm.
played organized basketball. And
Mm-hmm.
they were the first to expose me to the idea of getting my education paid for through the game.
Yeah, yeah. Now, the thing about it, Naila, now ask about this, even though you say, it was 20 years ago, and yes, that was a while, but I think that still today, I know still today, I have parents all the time that I am working with or meeting, and they are talking about how they want their child to get a full ride for basketball or some other sport that they play. And I know it's true back then as it is today that those numbers are really small. I don't know. You tell me.
Well, I'm an optimist.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm originally from California, Los Angeles
Mm-hmm.
specifically. I attended Crenshaw High School, but I received a basketball scholarship to Stanford, and that's like
Mm-hmm.
unheard of.
Yeah.
So I'm not really big on like what the odds are type of approach to
Okay.
things.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is too, a little bit that may be misleading about that number, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
numbers, let's just talk specifically about sports and
Mm-hmm.
basketball, which is a very popular sport. To be quite frank,
Mhm.
there's more kids who want an athletic scholarship who want
Uh-huh.
to put in the time and the work for an athletic scholarship. That's number one,
Mm.
right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So that's a big piece of why that
Mhm.
percentage is so small, in my opinion, when you really,
Mm.
really sit down and think about it, because there are a lot of opportunities to get a scholarship because there's
Mhm.
Division 1, Division 2, Division 3,
Yeah.
NAIA, like there's
Mhm.
many levels. Um, and the other part is that some parents don't really know, or families don't really
Mhm.
know what it takes to get
Mm.
the scholarship.
And what would you say are those steps for getting it? If they put in the work.
Yeah, in a nutshell,
Mhm.
you need to be seen by college coaches, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, so just to backtrack a little bit, there are a lot of students today too who will say, I don't want to play D2. I only want to play D1.
Yeah.
Or I'm not going to play
Yeah.
D3, right? So that
Yeah.
even adds to the percentage because
Mhm.
you're limiting your offers.
Right.
Um, but the main thing is
Mhm.
you have to be seen by coaches. So there's a
Mhm.
million and one club teams. Like
Yeah.
it's in a lot of sports, right? It's a
Right.
business.
Yes.
But
Mhm.
I always tell parents, okay, well, how many players did they send to college in the past 3 years?
Mhm.
That's an indicator, right? It's
Yeah.
not to say that it's a guarantee that your kid will go, but are they even putting students in position to go to the next level through their team? And in basketball, that's a big thing because you don't really get your scholarships through
Right.
your high school team. You get it through your club or AAU summer team.
Oh, so you did AAU?
Yes.
Okay.
That's where
Okay.
I was,
Mm.
that's where I got seen.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah. That's good.
my team was in tournaments where there were
Mhm.
coaches,
Yeah.
right? Another thing I would say that I've learned since my son has been in high school is the
Mhm.
relationship that coaches have to colleges or
Right.
college coaches.
Mhm.
And that plays a very big part because what was eye opening for me is
Yeah.
I've seen kids within the last 2 years, I would say, from my son's particular school that
Mhm.
got college scholarships that I quite frankly did not think they were able to play at the next level.
Really?
And a lot of that had to do with the relationship that their coaches had. It could be
Mm.
AAU or high school because
Yeah.
they picked up the phone on their behalf.
Hmm.
Based on the
Wow.
relationship, the college was
Mhm.
willing to extend an offer.
Yeah. Wow. Now, I think this may be harder to answer in hindsight,
Mhm.
but do you still feel like the school that you chose was a good fit for you, even though it was um, through your sport as opposed to you choosing a college that's a good fit for you and applying going through that route?
Yes, that's an excellent question. Just to answer it directly, I do
Hmm.
feel that way in the sense that I have no regrets that I went to
Right.
Stanford. I was highly recruited. All of Pac it was Pac-10 at that time, so virtually every Pac-10 school was recruiting me, and schools outside
Yeah.
of the West Coast as well.
Hmm.
But for me to say that is actually saying a lot because I actually did not play that much at Stanford. I wrote the bench, and
Hmm.
even given that, which is obviously very tough,
Yeah.
I still do not regret going to Stanford. And
Mm.
so
Yeah.
I still got so much out of it. And I never chose Stanford because of basketball.
Mm. Yeah.
Basketball was a piece of it, right? It was
Hmm.
a
Yeah.
highly acclaimed program. So that was a huge piece of it, but that
Uh-huh.
wasn't the only piece of it. And because
Mm.
of that, I believe that's why I did not regret it.
Yeah.
There were other aspects that I truly enjoyed
Yeah.
that still
Mm.
gives me fond memories and is
Yeah.
a reason why I'm so actively involved still with the
Hmm.
university. But
Yeah.
that is a very good question because when it comes to even my son, who is
Hmm.
on his athletic journey now, scholar
Yeah.
athlete,
Yeah.
um, it may not be the same approach.
Right.
I haven't really set him down to really discuss that. But I would say
Yeah.
for any athlete, that's something you really have to think about,
Right.
because some people will not be happy not
Hmm.
playing at a school.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So you almost have to ask yourself that question, like,
Hmm.
would I still be happy, especially if you have multiple offers? Like I said, I had multiple offers. So would
Yeah.
I still be happy? Would you still be happy attending this school even if you didn't play? If this your dream school,
Yeah.
if you have
Yeah.
if you have aspirations beyond college in
Hmm.
your sport, then you have to ask yourself, are they preparing me? Even though this
Right.
is a higher ranked, or they have a bigger platform, but is that platform for you?
Hmm.
So there's a
Right.
lot that goes into that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, I want to just pause for a moment. If you're just joining us, I am talking with Naila Iskandari, and we are talking about athletics and your teen and college and all of those things that come along with that discussion. And so I want to thank you for joining me in and let you know that you are welcome to post a comment or question in the chat, and we can certainly answer that in real time as well. So, Naila, tell me though around just, I guess some of the things around how you got to sociology, from sociology to technical engineer. I'm sure there's
yeah,
a story behind that.
yes. So I don't know. My story is pretty much interesting, at least to me. But
Mhm.
I did not. I knew I wanted to go to Stanford since the eighth grade. I was
Hmm.
introduced to Stanford through the NCAA tournament. I don't know
Oh,
how
really?
many years, but yeah, I had
Wow.
seen them like in the Final Four,
Hmm.
like 2 years in a row or something. Enough
Yeah.
for me to be familiar with them, because at
Hmm.
that age I wasn't like really tracking or anything like that. But I knew them when I saw them in Stanford won 2 championships in the early '90s. So
Okay.
they
Hmm.
were definitely to be seen at that time. And
Yeah.
so I didn't know anything except I wanted to go to Stanford. It wasn't until later that I
Hmm.
learned where Stanford was, that it was a highly ranked school. And to be honest, people had started to ask me in basketball, like what
Uh-huh.
college I wanted to go to, because that was a
Yeah.
big thing there too, right? You're playing to get a scholarship. Not everyone,
Yeah.
but a lot of us were. So I said Stanford, and
Mm.
people would be like, Stanford, like their face will light up. And so that's when I stuck with it. And that's kind of how the seed was planted. So yeah, was that your question?
No, that was not my question. It
Okay,
was
sorry.
around the sociology major to a
Oh,
technical
sociology.
engineer.
So when I got to Stanford, I did not know what I wanted to major in.
Uh-huh.
And Stanford, you don't have to declare a major till sophomore year. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like a lot of pressure. Um, but sophomore year, I think I lived in Ujima, which is the
Uh-huh.
African American themed dorm. And I think I sat with like an RA in the dorm, and I
Uh-huh.
still didn't know even my sophomore year. And we like flipped through I forget what it's called, but the
Course
guide with,
catalog.
yes, the catalog. And actually, what I've
Yeah.
always done is ask questions. So I'd
Uh-huh.
already kind of been asking upperclassmen like, "Oh, what is
Right.
your major? Why?" Anyway,
Uh-huh.
sociology seemed a good enough fit, because I figured, well, whatever I do, I'll be
Mhm.
dealing with people.
Yes.
And it turned out to be just that, a good enough
Uh-huh.
fit, because any position I've had, I've
Mhm.
always like touted my major,
Yeah.
and sociology is simply the study of people in
Mm.
their environments,
Yeah.
right? And that's applicable to anything. And
Right.
this wasn't a part of
Yeah.
the question, but that leads me to I do think it's good for our children to have direction, to
Mhm.
identify passions and things of
Right.
that nature. But at the end of the day, especially I believe
Mhm.
in today's age,
Yeah.
there's some skills that our kids should have that will
Mhm.
take them anywhere.
Right.
One of them is
Exactly.
networking,
Mhm.
right? One
Yeah.
of them is communicating, being able to hold a conversation.
Mhm.
And to me, those are the biggest things.
Yeah.
There's a number of others, but if they
Mhm.
have those two, right?
Mhm.
If some parents are scared of like, oh, they only text and they don't know how to like interact with people. They actually do know how to interact with people because you're actually interacting with people texting. But do they have a fear of interpersonal relationship interacting with people,
Uh-huh.
which can be
Yeah.
developed, right? So
Mhm.
even in your everyday life, like if you
Right.
observe your child shying away
Mhm.
from speaking to an adult or introducing themselves, those are things you can practice in
Yes.
your everyday life. You
Mhm.
can practice that going to the grocery store,
Right.
go to the butcher counter and
Mhm.
order this. But in the
Right.
meantime, I want you to introduce yourself and greet them. Those
Right.
are the practical skills I believe that
Mhm.
goes a long way today.
Yeah.
And I crossed over into technology because again, networking. So Stanford, I knew people in computer science, but I have a particularly very good friend who majored in computer science, who has her own tech business, and she
Mm.
essentially mentored me for a few
Hmm.
months
Wow.
into tech because I don't know how to code. I still don't know how to code. There are so many positions. You don't have to be a computer engineer to be
Yeah.
in tech. Like
Uh-huh.
they have other in every department. They have that
Yeah.
in technology too, right?
Right. Mhm.
So in what I do, I'm sort of like the middle person between the engineers
Mhm.
and our technical users. You need
Hmm.
interpersonal skills for that. You don't necessarily need to code
Right.
because the people I'm talking to aren't coding. They just need
Mhm.
to figure out why the application isn't working right now. So
Hmm.
that was a transferable skill is what I'm just saying. Yeah, I would say
Right.
transferable skills is so
Mhm.
important for our kids today
Yeah.
because the way you can just move in this environment and really
Mhm.
create your own
Yeah.
job, your own career, what's at
Mhm.
the heart of that is being able to communicate and network.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, tell me, because played basketball, do you feel like you're a basketball mom in terms of that has to be your son's sport?
I don't think that. Some people may disagree with me, but I personally do not think that. I always, I grew up with a
Mhm.
passion for the sport
Yeah.
and which I still have today.
Mhm.
And so my son was introduced to the sport at an early age.
Yeah.
But because I played at a high level, I knew what it would take to
Mhm.
play at a high level.
Right.
And so in my opinion, I introduced him to the game gradually. So when
Mm.
he was younger, like he didn't start playing club basketball until he was 10, which my original goal was 12. But I would
Yeah.
say 10 at 12, it's never too
Mhm.
late, but the kids start so early now. I think 10 was a good age.
Yeah.
But even before that, I just like signed them up at the park and rec.
Mhm.
Not even every season. I think we missed a season one time on an accident.
Yeah.
But my point is like it wasn't
Mhm.
on my radar, like, oh, I'm raising the next Kobe.
Huh.
My thing was which people, I mean, from the outside, I feel like people do, it seems like that's what they're aspiring to do.
Yeah.
For me, I really wanted to truly raise a scholar athlete.
Mhm.
And I always felt like he was athletic. I mean, you think that
Yeah.
when a kid is small, but as he even grew older, I mean, there's some traits where I'm like, okay, that's a little better than average.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I would say my approach was like, if he could, so I started slow and
Mhm.
gradually picked it up, become more
Mhm.
committed. Now I'm still very involved, but he takes on a lot of ownership for
Mm.
himself.
Nice.
So getting his rest,
Mhm.
taking his supplements, which is like a protein shake,
Yeah.
not having to convince him to work out, which
Right.
I never really had to do that. Even when he was younger, I said,
Mhm.
look, I'm gonna give you all the opportunities or put you in a position to succeed
Right.
that I can, but I will never beg you. I will
Mhm.
never beg you to work out. I mean, we're having this
Yeah.
conversation at like 5, 6, because I
Yeah.
meant it. I'm not doing that. We
Right.
can find something else for you. But whatever you choose to do in life, son, which you're going to have to do something. I'm not
Uh-huh.
going to beg you to do it.
Yes. So we just got
So,
a comment in from Dr. Carey. She said she loves the emphasis on the scholar athlete. And yes, I absolutely do as well. Now, Naila, one thing I definitely want to ask you about, though, is, how do you balance all of that? Because I just remember, with doing AAU, it's like my kids really didn't do it, quite frankly, because I was just like, no, I don't have the time for that. But how do you balance all of that with your career? Your son being in high school has other commitments, and then AAU as well.
yes, I mean, this may be a little unorthodox too, but I do believe in faith and law of attraction, and some of the things that we're actually experiencing now, which is quite a blessing. I didn't even necessarily consciously pray or ask for, but I
Mhm.
think I had the desire.
Hmm.
So I was always going to be a working mom, but
Yeah.
even at a young age, I had a desire to be present, and I didn't know what that
Mm.
looked like. Like I didn't know
Yeah.
his schedule was going to be predominantly sports per
Hmm.
se.
Right.
But I say I had the desire because when I look at it now, like I'm actually
Hmm.
able to be very present
Yeah.
because of the field that I am in. It pays
Hmm.
very well, and it's also very flexible.
Right.
And I can't really tell you how I couldn't have planned it.
Yeah.
Honestly, because when I say I didn't know what I wanted to school in, I also didn't know what I wanted to do when I graduated. And I'm not telling necessarily raising my son like, hey son, just figure it out you'll figure it out one day. No, I'm not advising that, but that was the case for me. And because of the skills that I said that I believe kids should have, it allowed me to sort of always make a way. And even tapping into my Stanford network, I was able, that also forged a path.
Right.
But back to the work-life balance. So that's one.
Hmm.
Two is being clear on what your goals are, right? So when I got
Hmm.
to Stanford, I graduated from Stanford, but it was not easy. It was not always easy academically for me. And
Hmm.
so I say that to say that while I had the perseverance and tenacity to make
Hmm.
it through, that was embedded in me from
Hmm.
where I came from.
Yeah.
The academic side to compete wasn't
Hmm.
necessarily there, so there was like some catching up to do. But the
Mm.
interesting part about that, if I did not have the roots that I had to
Hmm.
persevere, now we call it grit. If
Right.
I didn't have that instilled with me, I would not have made it out of Stanford. I would not have survived. I would not have survived that as an athlete, because that also
Mhm.
in and of itself,
Yeah.
that's a whole nother conversation in terms of
Hmm.
the mental toughness that it takes to
Yeah.
really be a mental athlete. I would say I was going to say at a D1, but really any school that's paying for your education, to be honest.
Yeah. Hmm.
There's a commitment there that you have to have, and
Hmm.
there's a mental toughness that you have to have because no one's
Right.
coddling you. So, um, yeah. So I would say knowing
Hmm.
back to being a
Yeah.
mom,
Hmm.
knowing what your goals are. So
Yeah.
all of what I just shared informed me as a parent what I necessarily didn't want my son to go through. And that's where the scholar athlete comes in. If he
Right.
were to go to a Stanford, I didn't want him to have to struggle academically.
Right. Right. Okay.
And
Awesome.
yeah, so starting at a young age, my thing is
Hmm.
like, I was like, it was almost like developing an athlete. If I put in the work early, it doesn't mean I
Hmm.
won't have to put it in later. I'll
Yeah.
have less work to put in later.
Yes.
If I make him do
Absolutely.
supplemental work outside of his schoolwork, even if he's at a private school,
Uh huh.
like he'll be stronger in
Yes.
math, in writing, in reading. So in
Yes.
10th grade and 11th grade,
Hmm.
he can use the resources at his school, which is actually what he's doing. He's taking ownership of his education, if you will, because of that, I
Awesome.
believe.
Awesome. Very good. Very good. So we're already at our rapid wisdom questions, and I have three of them for you, Naila. The first one is a book that's informed the way you see parenting.
Yeah, I read books, but I'm often don't get to the end of them. So I don't really have a book, but I am very curious.
Mhm.
And so I often I'm big on YouTube personally.
Yeah.
I listen to YouTube like some listen to podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
And so anything that I've been interested in, I've researched and a lot of times on YouTube, Google as well. But I've just found so
Mm-hmm.
much information. So anything from like, say when like Singapore math came out many years
Mm.
ago,
Yeah.
which my son's school never had, the schools he went to never did Singapore math per
Mm.
se. Cause he was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like already kind of too old, like they were starting
Right.
younger. But I was
Mm-hmm.
still curious. I didn't want him to be left out. So YouTube.
Hmm.
Um,
So, what have you found in particular that you would recommend that's informed the way you see parenting?
I don't know if it was informs me about the way
Mm.
I see parenting, but I
Mhm.
reverse engineer a lot of things.
Okay.
It's like even when it comes to education, like
Mhm.
you've informed me, and you could say
Mhm.
parenting education, whatever, like
Right.
because I've listened to you so much over the years.
Really? I didn't know that, Naila.
No, seriously, and she didn't pay me to say this, guys. No, I'm serious. Like I've been to so many of your talks. I get your
Okay.
newsletter.
Mm.
So even when you talk about what your students should do every year, I've been listening to that since my son was like in fifth grade.
Yeah.
And not to because we didn't really get into him, but he
Mhm.
does. I think this is worth saying. He
Mhm.
does play varsity basketball. He does
Mhm.
go to a predominantly white school. He goes to an independent school in Los Angeles, and he's
Mm.
the sophomore class president, which is why I
Wow.
said the demographics before saying that.
Yeah.
And part of that is just being so yeah, I don't do a lot of reading of books, but I
Mm.
follow people who I feel can get us to our goal.
Mm.
I
That's
feel like I've
awesome.
set my son up to whether he gets into college because of his athletic ability, like we want to
Mhm.
recruit you on the team. I feel like I've set him up academically or athletically. And when I say academically, that's very intentional.
Right.
And
Right.
that's where you come in.
Right. Okay.
There's been others too, but I mean, your
Yeah.
audience knows you. So I'm saying
Yeah.
like the blueprint that you set out, and
Mm.
you give so much free information. You have consultations and people can hire you too. But even if
Yeah.
people just paid attention to the free information,
Oh wow.
nowadays, what do they say? Free game. Like you have to take advantage of it.
That's awesome. Thank you for that, Naila. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well,
And
I'm going to
yeah.
be thanking you. Like I need to thank you now. And when he's in
Oh.
college, I'll be thanking you too. So
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'll take my roses now. Now, the second rapid wisdom question is in 3 words, the truth about work life balance is what?
3 words.
Hmm.
Stay true to yourself.
That's a lot of words. 3 words.
Stay true to that's 4.
uh,
Stay true to
so,
yourself.
okay.
Do I need to explain it
I'm,
or
yeah, what does that mean?
this is easier to say than this is easier said than done.
Yeah.
And I know some people are very risk averse,
Hmm.
but I personally
Uh-huh.
have never put my work over my child. And I'm in California
Mm.
too, so there's like laws
Yeah.
around that. Like
Yeah.
they have to let you go to if your child has a game, like
Hmm.
legally you can take off. There's no repercussions to that.
Yeah.
So that may be part of it. But
Hmm.
even with making my decisions, because I feel like our children are only children for so long.
Right.
I'm me forever. Like I'm a go-getter
Mm.
forever. This is the sports side of me coming out.
Yeah.
Like I'm always gonna bet on myself. I'm a W, like period. I might lose the first quarter, second quarter. So I feel like we have a limited time with our children.
Yeah.
So I've been ambitious. It's been a
Mm.
balance. I've been
Hmm.
ambitious, but I've always been dedicated to try to put myself in the best position to be successful
Yeah.
on and off the court, and that
Hmm.
he has a strong academic foundation. And so I could be further in my career,
Yeah.
right? But there's certain things that I've decided to put off for now to be
Mm.
present. And that's been my
Awesome.
work-life balance. And it's been rewarding. It's been a
Mhm.
different reward, right? It hasn't been necessarily the financial gain that I could have had by now or things of
Yeah.
that nature. But, seeing them develop
Yeah.
into a young adult, like that's
Hmm.
priceless. And that's
Right.
only a limited, you have adult children now. So
Yeah.
it's not forever. So
Yeah.
that's been my work-life balance and I haven't regretted it.
That's awesome. That's beautiful. I love the way you phrase that too. And I'll give you that fourth word. So stay true to yourself. Now, the final one is if you could have a do over as a mom, what would it be?
Let's see. Man. I use the word optimist and law of attraction already. So that's a very difficult question to answer.
Mm. Hmm.
Yeah, because the thing is, and this is also from sports, and
Yeah.
actually today's technology, you learn from your failures. So you don't
Hmm.
really even look at them as like failures,
Right.
right?
Right.
Everything, and that's why it's so hard for me to answer because I really, really, really have bought into that mentality.
Hmm. Okay.
If you Yeah, because like there's no such
Mhm.
thing as perfect. And even if you were
Yeah.
perfect, you don't want to be perfect because what did you learn? And that's the whole
Hmm.
growth mindset versus fixed mindset.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you just skirted that question too, huh? But that's okay. I'm gonna let you off the hook because I
What would
know
I
I'll
do
be
over?
seeing you again.
I would do nothing over because I've learned from everything.
Okay, then. Those are good words. So I will receive that. I will receive that, Naila.
And that's good words as parents too.
Yeah.
But when
Yeah.
our children
Hmm.
feel like they have failed or have, fallen
That's
short,
true.
but it's actually propelling you because it's like, what have we learned from this?
Yeah.
And that's a gift.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's grit.
Absolutely. It is. It is. Absolutely. Well, Naila, thank you so much for joining me. And it was so
Thank you.
great to see you. I know
You
I'll be
too.
seeing you in real person. I'll be in LA definitely early 2022. So, yes, we'll get
Awesome.
a chance to see each other. So, thank you
Yes, looking
so
so
very
forward
much.
to that.
Yes, me too. And give Aliana a hug for me.
I
He's
will.
wonderful. Yes.
So
So,
I
you,
told him I was gonna be on this podcast, and he
uh-huh.
sent me a picture of the two of you from like
Oh my goodness.
2018. Yeah, I'm gonna send it to you. He
Thank
remembers
you.
you. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, because I definitely remember him too. So I know that all the things you shared in terms of how you're preparing him academically, yes, that is so true, because I saw it, in our conversation. So yes, but
Thank you.
please send me that picture. I love that picture. I'm going to add that to
Okay.
my wall.
Okay, will
Thank
do.
you. Okay. So thank you all so much for joining me for Keep Calm for Moms. And before we go, I want to make sure that you know that you can join me in the Get the Money for College Challenge, which is coming up this Sunday. And be sure to join me in that. You can comment in the link that you are ready. So just comment ready, and I will send you more information about the challenge that's coming up. It's the 5-day Get the Money for College Challenge, because I know that you don't want to overpay for college for sure. And this will be an exciting and really fun 5-day challenge. It's only 15 minutes a day. I know you got 15 minutes a day to increase your chances of getting thousands of dollars in scholarships. So I look forward to seeing you then. And we'll be talking soon. Take care and have a wonderful holiday.